Money making in music. When you say music, and if you say you're an emerging artist, a lot of people will assume that there isn't really any money to be made in music, outside of obviously the top people like Drake, Taylor Swift, etc. But I'm hoping to talk today so that you learn a bit more about the nuances of it, to see that you can really make a living in this industry, and there are a lot of ways to bring in money. Music has changed drastically the last 20 years, and it's gone towards streaming. Every million streams that you get on, say, Spotify, usually equates to around $3,000 to $4,000. So if you have a song that has 100 million streams, that'll make you about $300,000 to $400,000 just off that one song. But the other thing to keep in mind is there are actually about 20 or even more streaming platforms right now that are emerging. So if you look at Apple Music, Tidal, etc., a lot of those pay even more than Spotify. So when you look at the whole pool of money, you really can bring in a good amount of revenue just by getting these streams. And I know that does sound like a lot of streams. I will say when you're starting out, it seems like a big feat just to get 1,000, but you'll get there with consistency and the right collaborations. The other thing I want to say is that with music, I looked this up sometime, and there's about 10,000 people that have that million monthly listener mark on Spotify. And I feel like that's a critical mark, because once you're at that million monthly listener spot, you're likely generating around $20,000 per month. And this can even go up to, say, 40 or 50, depending on how much of your songs you own and how many producers are involved. But I think the main thing to know is if you have a million monthly listeners, you're making a really good living off of music, and Spotify will push your music to a lot of people year after year. But I always just think of it as being in the top 10,000. You don't need to be in the top 1,000, the top 100, or even the top 10. You can make a living just being in the top 10,000. And to be honest, that's kind of a great place to be, because I don't know, you might be recognized by some people for your music when you're walking around the street, but you're not necessarily an A-list celebrity. So a lot of people who start out music, they're trying to be this top artist, but I think that million month listener mark is a great happy medium where some people will know you, but you make a great living off music, and you don't have all these people coming to you for money because you're in the news everywhere. So that's the first source of income stream. Another thing I want to mention is once you have that platform of streams, it's also there's also a lot of ways you can make money off of TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, brand deals, etc. And there's also merch and touring. I won't go into all of them here, but I will say that once you're at that million month listener mark or somewhere substantial, you have a lot more leverage to go do tours, and you'll likely get a lot more search results on YouTube, bringing in more YouTube revenue. So I think the main thing to know is the name of the game in music is diversification. You obviously start with those streams, but once you start to make a name for yourself, you can sell t-shirts, you can do these tours, and you can make a lot of money on YouTube as you grow. And a lot of people even make money from, say, mentor calls. If someone's kind of a mid-level artist, I'll even pay them just to have a 1 hour mentor session. So once you build that brand, there's unlimited ways to make money. Yeah, I felt like I was rambling a bit there, but I really want to just make this to show, one, there are a lot of people that make a living off of music. If you're an artist like me, I always think that million month listener mark is a great longevity point, where once you make that, you have a lot of people coming to you for brand deals, you have a lot of streaming revenue, and you can really have it be sustainable. But I will say, as one other closing comment, if you have super fans, meaning you have a lot less listeners, but everyone who listens to you is really into you, you can make a great living as well. For instance, I don't know if you've heard of the band Atmosphere, but they've been touring for years, and it seems like every time they go on tour, they sell out, even though they don't put out a whole lot of new music. But if you have anything you'd like me to talk about, put it in the chat. I'm looking to make it mostly around music, fitness, travel, or really anything else that's on your mind.